Hello, welcome to the Trade Ideas Market Recap for Wednesday, July the 16th. My name is Barry Enerson. I'm the moderator of the trading room. This is the address to get into the room, and you can log in as a guest, or you can use your Facebook or your Twitter account to log in. Well, quite an active day for me today, actually. Quite a few trades, nothing spectacular, but I always look at days like today as great practice days also. You can get into the summer where a lot of times you're really trying to find things to trade, and you can get into the doldrums and then not trade for a couple of days. Not that that's happening to me. In fact, as an aside, ever since I started doing this video blog, I mean, I know there has not been one day that I haven't taken at least one trade, more than likely at least two. And that certainly wasn't the way it was for me in the past. I mean, there'd be days in the summer I just wouldn't trade, I wouldn't find anything. And even a couple of days in a row, I just wouldn't find anything. I might go a week with only a couple of trades. And what happens is you get a little stale, you get out of practice, and then it takes a while to get back into trading again. So I'm actually glad to be doing this because it really forces me to try to find things to trade. I'm not just trading for the sake of trading, obviously, because I am trying to point out things that I'm doing and hopefully they can help people. But it has been good for me in that regard. So with that over with, let me just show you the first trade that I did take. Now cab came from now you can tell this is a classic bounce play, but it didn't appear. At least I don't think it appeared. Let me just make sure. Yeah, cab didn't appear here, and it actually was. I have to give a shout out to Paul in the room because he alerted us to it almost immediately. And you can see all the big 5 minute red candles down, and then it finally hit a bottom here at 56.15. Not typical. Again, if you follow my videos, you know that I kind of like to see a much tighter stop. But this was early enough in the day that sometimes what happens is that they get you have dynamic move. You have a dynamic move down and then a very quick dynamic move up. So I decided to take the trade, and on this green candle right here, I took the trade at 56.66, and I got out. Actually, it was two halves. One it was at 56.97, and the other was at 56.96. So, as it was having it seemed to have a struggle to maintain breaking 57. So that's when I decided to get out. Now, I also watched it though. I mean, once I trade a stock doesn't mean I disregard it for the rest of the day. I usually will thumbnail it, put it on a chart, and just kind of keep an eye on it. And so when I saw this action here, you see how this right high was right here at 57.33. And I think right here was 57.31. So when it broke through there, so on this candle here, I really started watching it. And this is what I liked. I liked this pullback. And then I took the trade at 57.50 right there. Now, it didn't work. Actually only got as high as 57.56, hoping that it might get all the way back up to 58 anyway. It didn't work, and as these again 5 minute candles, it's taking way too long for me to see if this thing was going to work, and so I actually exited right at 57.49, so I took a penny loss on it. But I would do that trade again. Once it broke through these little spikes here and it had this little pullback, it had a good shot of going higher. Now the next trade was USU, and that did not work out at all. Now why USU was just something that I was following. If you we traded it or a couple of weeks ago. It's at 1, 2, 3, 4. So a couple of weeks ago. What date is this? This is July the 1st. So on July 1st, it had its big day, from 3.15 to a high of $9, my goodness, and it closed at 7.37, and even the next day, another further extension. So just wild, wild action in this, and then it's had the collapse. So I have been watching this. So when I saw this action on the daily chart, on today's 5 minute chart, when I saw this and then this pullback here, I thought, okay, it has a good shot of having a continued run. This was the high of 549. So again, this is what I saw, and then I'm watching this pullback, watching the pullback, and then I'm seeing one green candle, and then the next spike. Now, unfortunately, this was it. It basically sold off immediately, almost from there, and I took my loss at $5.10, so a $16 loss. So not a great trade, but I would do it again based on this sort of pattern and based on the fact that there was obviously a lot of hype for it to get up to this level here. So certainly had a lot of room that it could have run if it had wanted to. So the next trade, actually LCI was interesting because LCI, this is one of my old customs. It's at least 2 years old right now, and I always have it up. I don't necessarily trade the stocks that I get in here in terms of how I used to, which meant I almost would just blindly take the trade if I got the alert. But I do use it as a nice watch list. And so LCI came up at 39.25. So it would have been, what time was it at 10:44. So right in this level here, and this was a short alert. So at 39.25. So I watched it come down and then go back up to 39.67, and then when it came back down again, I decided to take the short at 39.11. I figured, this looked like the buyers definitely took, sorry, the sellers definitely took over. You can see that. Let me just expand it just a little bit. Oops. So you can see this candle right here. So you can see how the buyers at the beginning were certainly in control, but then the sellers just basically knocked it back down. So I took the short at 39.11 and was really hoping, of course, it would have a huge collapse. When I look at the daily chart here, and there's maybe some support at the 38 area, but it didn't do that. Or I was actually hoping it would maybe even get down to this level, like a truly utter collapse. Because obviously, I don't even know what's happened to it, but I mean, it was down $8, but doesn't mean it couldn't not have gone down another couple. But I ended up actually covering right here at 38.74. So on this, when this happened and it started popping back up, I covered at 38.74. Now, it's funny. When I first saw this, though, before I got the alert here, I was talking about how this was a good bounce play because I'm sure that if I look at yeah, you see, if I bring in my bounce candles, my bounce alert, you see there it is, LCI at 40.72. So way up here is when I was alerted to it as a potential bounce play. So I'm watching it, watching it, watching it, and is it coming? It's coming down, and it goes through 40 and then down and it starts touching 39. So again, this was originally supposed to be a bounce play. Well, here eventually it did do a nice bounce. I did not take part in it. I mean, from 39 to 40, I did not take part in that. But what I did do, let me just back this out of the way. What I did do is, I think this spike right here is 39.99, and this right here is 39.91. So the minute it made it over that whole number and it held, because on this candle right here it looked like it was going to hold, I got in at 40.07, and I wrote it up very quickly to half of it at 40.47, and then I took the other half out at 40.28. So again, it's the old thing. I mean, just because I went short on it one time doesn't mean I can't go long on it the next time. And always a good idea to keep watching the stocks that you've traded because they're probably dynamic. I mean, I know if I get something from this, it's usually a fairly dynamic stock, so it's something I should probably be watching most of the day. The next one was CHRW, and CHRW. Now, with all the other things that were going on, this is my break of the 20-day high. And, I was obviously way late on it because I'll show you where I got in. So the 20-day high was 64.59. And so right here, in fact, right there is the break of the 20-day high. Now, if you're not familiar with this particular strategy, again, what I do is I do a scan. I'll do a scan tonight, and I will find stocks. There are other filters also in place that I use, but I will find stocks that are close to their 20-day high. and close to me could mean within a dollar, depending on the price of the stock. A dollar is not necessarily that far away, especially it could in the morning it could close, it could open within 20 cents of that of the dollar. So you just never know. So what I do is I cut it off at a dollar though, and I create a list, and then I put it in this particular, I guess we'll call it a watch list that I watch the next day. And for instance, you can see here that this is what is this? The Charming, or what is this called? Oh, I'm sorry, C.H. Robinson. It opened 29 cents below the high of the day. This is what this particular column is telling me. So, but I did miss it. I was watching other things, to be honest with you. And so the high of the day, the 20-day high was 64.59. So what happened is at the beginning, this one, C.H. Robinson, would have been white. In other words, this row would have been white, and the minute it hit 64.59, it would have turned blue. And that's my trigger. But again, unfortunately, I missed it. I was way more involved in some of the other trades that I was doing. I did other trades, by the way. I'm just not going to go over them. Some of them were just kind of inconsequential. But anyway, so I was way late, but when I saw that it had triggered and I saw that it was over the whole number, I decided, because it was right here where I took the trade. So you can see there were it was rising here, a little consolidation, a little bit of a pullback, and then a little bit more consolidation just at the 65 level. And so when it popped on this candle, I thought, okay, good, it's a good shot. I should take this trade. And so I took it at 65.05, tried to run a little bit, but then as it came back down through the whole number, I exited the trade for a small loss. And you can see, certainly I would have, even if I had put a slightly wider stop on it, certainly this would have taken me out. Now I see it's rebounded and all, but I mean, I have to obey my stops. So that is that's basically it for what I did today. I did a couple other trades, but they were very small, and don't want to really go over them. I think the one was a small gain and one was a small loss. But still, a lot of activity in the market today, and still waiting. Let's see. Let me bring up the SPY here. Still waiting for that party that's going to happen when the SPY hits 200. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm sure it's inevitable, but you can see. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Remember last week I was talking about these two red candles down, and it looked like maybe this would get breached, and then who knows, maybe it would fall a lot more. You know, that's so behind us right now. And even though we had a negative day yesterday, just a complete rebound again. And this market is just so strong. So that is it for today. Let me just bring back the cover page and show you how this is again the address to get into the room. And I hope to see you in the trading room tomorrow.